Welcome to the show where we try to navigate the wild and wonderful world of fatherhood. My name is Ryan, and with me, as always, is my best man and co host, Dan, and we are first time fathers. Yes, so many things that we had to cut this into two parts. But now is part two, and we are going to get right back into it. We're going to finish this list today, I promise. And
Maybe.
maybe. All right, let's dive in. So, moving on from feeding, what comes after feeding?
Diapers.
Yes. The thing I'm looking forward to most.
Diapers are a big part of
So,
parenting.
preparing for your child being here, some of the things that we're talking about, like the wipe warmers, maybe aren't necessary, but
But they're
as
nice.
they're nice, they help. But diapers are necessary.
Yes.
Some people
So
like to go the natural route and get, the washable diapers and not get the box diapers, and that's great if that's what you want to do. I definitely don't trust myself with those. I'm just going to go the box diapers. But what about the quantity of diapers? There's so many different sizes. Babies are so many different sizes. How do you prepare for that? How do you prepare for how many diapers you're going to need and what sizes? A lot of people have diaper showers, where they just have people bring a bunch of diapers. But Felix, for instance, he's as big as some 1 year olds and he's 9.5 months old. So, how do you prepare for that? How many diapers do you get for newborns?
it's hard to gauge because like you said, every baby is different and you
Hmm.
have no idea what your baby's going to do. And you have small idea of how large your baby's going to be when you're born. We thought Felix was going to be bigger than it was. And then all of a sudden he's fitting in newborn diapers. And we were like, oh, we didn't even expect him to fit in that. We didn't have newborn clothes because we didn't think he was going to be that small.
Yeah.
But we had a ton of newborn diapers, so we're like, oh, okay, we're prepared. But then a week and a half later, he was like, oh no, so are we already moving into size one diapers? So it's hard to gauge how much you need. But my kind of gist, based on hearing stories of people I know and experiencing it, was if people ask you what size diapers you need, tell them get twos, tell them to get threes, tell them to get fours. Though you'll hold on to them unused for a while,
Hmm.
they're going to burn through newborns and ones like crazy. So if you have to buy a couple, okay, but you're buying one box at a time because you're like, I might not be needing to use half of these because they're going to grow so quick. But you get into twos, you get into threes, you get into fours, the weight range that those diapers fit start to grow and they start to stay in those longer. So we actually burnt through twos pretty quick as well. And we moved out of threes earlier than we probably needed to, just because we felt, hey, we want to give Felix a little bit more room. We had enough diapers through newborns and ones that we didn't buy any diapers. We gave some away, and then we only had to buy one box of twos. But we only had, I think, like two boxes of threes and one box of fours. So we've had to buy since then.
So, you touched on it. You gave diapers away, but if you don't have anybody who's got a newborn or somebody like that, do you know where you can take them? I mean, obviously some people might still have the receipt and they can just return them if it's a box. But what
Yeah.
if you got half a box, or 2/3 of
Yeah.
a box?
I don't know this for sure, but you could probably bring them to women's shelter. You can probably bring
Mm.
them to community centers. You look online, there's always groups of people looking for things, or hell, you might find a daycare that you can just, hey, I got some extra diapers. I mean, you're
Yeah, do you
probably
know
going to need them
anybody who
because it's
might be in
daycare.
need? Yeah. That was what I was going to touch on too, is places like you said, community centers or shelters, or I'm assuming Planned Parenthood as well, different
Yeah.
places that are there to help women or people who have these young children and don't have the means to get all that they need. I definitely am on board with just donating all that
Yeah.
you have left. So even if you don't have a Planned Parenthood in your community, or you're not anywhere that has obvious donation places, look it up, Google it. I'm sure there's somewhere nearby that could
Yeah.
definitely help. So, what do you suggest to people as far as diapers go? Do you suggest that they just don't, that maybe they just buy a bunch of newborns ones, twos, just enough to maybe last like a couple weeks, just in case, and then just kind of gauge the baby's growth and then buy from there, or what do you suggest?
Yeah. I mean, it's again, it's hard, right? 'Cause,
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to touch on this, especially
Yeah.
because
Now,
diapers are one of those things that everybody's like, oh yeah, we're gonna need diapers. Get me diapers. But
but
babies grow
what?
fast.
Right.
Yeah.
So
So,
the thing is like with newborn, especially breastfeeding, we were changing Felix every hour, every 2 hours, and every diaper had poop in it.
something to look
Right.
forward to.
Something to look forward to. Right. But you were going through what, 12 diapers a day? Like not, maybe not quite, but like, 10 diapers a day. So you can go through them fast.
Right.
But it varies, right? So like a newborn, at the newborn size, maybe you're changing 10 diapers a day, but he's only going to be a newborn for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then you're in size ones. And then maybe you're only changing 7 or 8 a day, but he's in that for a month and a half, 2 months. And then now you're in twos, or, so you start to use less per day, but for longer periods.
Right.
So it's really hard to gauge kind of how to buy. But ideally, in the ideal world, right, you buy one box at a time until you don't need it.
Right.
It's not easy to do because it means you're going to the store every other day to buy diapers. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, if you have the time and energy to do that, I wish you the best of luck because that's a lot of energy to do. Yeah, like packing the baby up and going to the store, buying one box of diapers and driving home. Yeah, in an ideal world, it's perfect. But like you said, you kind of probably buy a couple here and there, gauge how fast you think they're growing. Okay, I think by next week I'm going to be into ones. Stop buying the newborn, buy the one. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you have a diaper party, suggest to people that they buy twos, threes, and fours because people are going to get you newborns and ones. So if anybody asks, twos, threes, and fours.
Yeah. Luckily for us, we live in a high rise that is right above a plaza that has all the stores we need. So putting the baby in the stroller, go down an elevator, walk out onto the platform to the store, walk right back to the elevator up to our floor. So for us, it's really
Beautiful.
easy, but not everybody has that accessibility. Some people live 15, 20, 30 minutes away from a store. And like you said, packing up a baby and putting them in the car, putting
Yeah.
them in the stroller, going to the store, it can be a hassle. So it's diapers is probably going to be the one thing that's the most difficult to prepare for. But you can always return them. You can always donate them. So it's always better, obviously, to have more than to have not enough. Now, as far as diapering goes, outside of actual diapers and the wipes, which we talked about, and the wipe warmers, we discussed the changing table and the changing pads. But what are some other changing necessities that you have found crucial to your diaper changing experience?
Diaper cream, rash cream. Babies are sensitive. They got sensitive skin, right? And if they hold on to that diaper with moisture in there for too long, things are going to get real sensitive and start to hurt. So diaper cream. There's a couple medicated things that you can get, but that'd be something that you have to talk about a pediatrician. I'm not going to give like medical stuff, but yeah, just diaper cream. There are a bunch out there that you can get. And if I have some within reach here, nope, on the other side of the room.
How many bottles do you think are just floating around your house at any given time?
Oh God, I mean, there's two over there. There's two in that room. There's at least one in his bedroom. There's one in the diaper bag. Uh,
So when I was growing up, everybody around me would always use like baby powder. And baby powder and rash cream are used for very similar things. So do you use baby powder at all or just the rash cream?
right now, we're just cream.
Have you used baby powder?
I don't think so. I don't
Okay.
think we've used it.
Yeah, because when I was looking, I found that most resources that I've looked up have actually started not really recommending the baby powder. Not that it's bad, but just that the rash creams that are out there right now are
Better.
absolutely incredible. They're better and they just provide a overall better experience for the kid's skin, and also for the room around the changing table. You're not just a
Yeah,
big poof cloud of baby powder. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that and ask what your thoughts were.
yeah.
Where do you
I'll
dispose of your diapers?
So we have a diaper pail in his room, but I would say we use that diaper pail exclusively, right? So that was the only place we put diapers for a month. I don't know, probably not even. And then it just started going, all right, well, bathroom trash. And then it was just like, where's the closest trash? I don't care.
Floor.
Because no,
No, just kidding.
yeah, honestly, actually, you get
Nearest
done changing them.
surface.
It's just been on the floor for a second. You're just sitting there with the baby, like finally changed. He's all in a good mood. You're like, I just had to wipe poop off my elbow. And you just get this moment of just like, and you forget that the diaper is in fact on the floor. I've done that. So we do have a diaper pail. The problem with throwing all of the diapers in those is if you wait until it's full, no matter how much scent protection things you have, it's poop. It's Poop and pee are very potent smells. Even that thing is closed, it's got a scent thing in there. You can smell it. It's everywhere. So
So
uh,
either dispose of it in multiple areas or get a very small diaper pail.
spread the smell throughout the house.
Yeah.
So no, the cool thing about ours is it's a pretty tall pail, but it's not like individual bags. It's just one long bag, which I
Mhm.
didn't realize I was going to be the way. And then when you were kosher with it, you cut the top off, you tied it. That is good, and then you just tie the bottom and pull it, and then now you have more bags. So just be diligent about changing it, and you're fine. We just didn't change
Yeah.
it until it was full, which isn't a bad thing. It was just hung out for a minute.
So your diaper pail allows you to choose the size of the bag that you want to use.
Yep. So if you wanted to go, I got two diapers in there. I'm gonna cut it and change it, and the bag is only this big. That's
Incredible.
fine.
That's
Because then you don't.
brilliant.
Yeah. The only thing you lose is the amount of space it takes you to tie the bag shut.
No kidding.
It's
Wow.
it's incredible. I
That
I
is
had no idea
really
it was like
brilliant.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Until the first time we were trying to get rid of it, and so I remember because it's all in like this ring.
Mhm.
And I remember when I first tried to change it, I started pulling it to find where the perforated edge was because I assumed there was a perforated edge somewhere, or
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was going to be
yeah.
like, yeah, whatever. And I'm just pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling, and the whole thing, I was like, what's going on? I was
Where
freaking
is
out
the end of this
because I
bag?
was, it's one of those long, things
Yeah.
that you're going to run into. And finally, we realized, oh, you just do this. And I was done, right? So Liz
Somebody
took care
didn't
of it.
read the directions.
I'm a guy, I don't read directions.
What are those?
What are those?
But anyway, so
But no,
okay,
diaper pails are
diaper
great.
pail.
Just use them, properly. Like,
Yeah,
you take,
try not to wait until it's so full that the smell is just
yeah,
permeating through the entire household.
yeah.
Got it. Anything else that you would like to discuss when it comes to diapering?
You're gonna get poop on you. You're gonna get pee on you. Just be ready for it. Poop is poop. Pee is actually sterile. It's fine. It's not as it smells bad, but it's not as gross as you think.
Yeah. So moving on from diapering, clothing,
Mhm.
the next step in that process. So
And the hardest thing to buy.
that's going to be my question, really. So, Dinara and I were in Marshall's the other day. Shout out Marshall's for just being awesome. And she's like, "You want to look at baby clothes?" And I'm like, "Why would?" Yes, absolutely. Let's look at baby
Socks,
clothes.
baby socks. They're
And
adorable.
oh my God, they're so cute. Or the baby shoes. Okay, so I'm not a big fan of, people who put like the genuine, baby Air Jordans on their kid and all that stuff. But little baby sneakers are so cute.
They're
They're
so cute.
so freaking cute, man. I just there was like a pair of child pumas, baby pumas. They're 3 inches long, and I just it's amazing. I didn't want to buy them. They're like $50, and the kid's gonna grow out of them in 45 minutes. But I mean, it's really cute. So we go over to the children's clothing section, and there's all of these cute clothes, man. Like clothes where it's got like this tweed vest, and little bow ties and elephants and all of this cute stuff. And I'm just like, I
Yeah.
want to buy it all. But I guarantee if I buy all of these things, the baby's gonna wear them one time and then nothing,
Yeah.
and it's going to be that way a lot until the kids, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Right.
because children just grow so fast. And sometimes it's in spurts,
Mhm.
he's in these same clothes for 6 months, then all of a sudden he goes through like 12 different sizes over the course of a year, And so we were looking at all these clothes, and she's like, "You want to get one?" And I'm like, "Yes, but I don't know." What has been your experience? What are a lot of the things that you need? You're in Michigan, where there's the extreme of all four seasons, super hot in the summer, humidity, super cold and snowy in the wintertime. Fall is perfect, and springtime is rainy and windy and thunderstorms galore.
Yeah.
So you have to deal with all of the elements in Michigan. And
Mhm.
so the first year of a baby's life, it's growing, but also dealing with all of these different,
Yeah.
weather situations. How did you prepare for that leading up to Felix being there?
Just keep him inside, have one outfit that he wears, and don't have to worry about the elements.
You're not
Uh,
going outside ever until you're fully grown.
so yeah, no, it's hard because he was born in July. So when he was, 1, 2 months old, we didn't really want to bring him outside because babies
Yeah.
don't have temperature regulation at all, and
Hmm.
bugs like mosquitoes and shit are all out in force. So the first couple months, he didn't go outside much other than, bring him to the car. But getting into the winter, we didn't go outside a ton. Like I joked about, oh, just stay inside, but we really did stay inside a lot. And the fall was nice. He was already growing quite a bit, but we were able to kind of prepare for that amount. He has a cousin that's only 6 months older than him. So Oliver, my nephew, his 3, 4 month old clothes, and Felix is 3, 4 months old, were kind of equal temperature, and they gave us those clothes. And so we kind of got lucky with those because those two of them are growing at basically the same rate, right?
Nice.
So that's been really cool to see. But we were able to kind of prepare for the fall. Plus, Liz and I both love the fall, so we wanted to be ready for the fall to do all the fun fall things. You
Of
know,
course.
get a flannel because I wear a lot of flannels, and
So you had father son matching
we
flannels.
didn't officially do that, but we had some pretty close moments.
Dude,
Uh,
you have to do it this fall.
oh, we will. Oh, don't you
Yes,
worry.
please. Yes.
That wasn't bad. In the winter, you made sure that he always had a coat, blankets. That's the hardest part is keeping the baby warm. Even that short walk into the car, it's hard because you can't bundle them up and then put them in the car seat because you can't have all that clothing underneath the belt because then you can't get the belt tight enough to actually be secure. So they
Right.
basically have to be in the car in just like their t-shirt or long sleeve or whatever it is, and you have to like just bundle around them. So that was a real pain trying to do that every time.
Before we exit the bundling up portion of this, winters in Michigan are a solid 4 months.
God, it's forever. I mean,
It honestly, from the middle of October to
yeah,
the middle of March
yeah,
sometimes. 4 months is a
yeah,
long time for the baby to be growing,
yeah.
and so how did did you have like six different coats,
No, so he had a snowsuit
Oh my God, I bet that
and
was so cute.
adorable, and he had two coats. Both coats were big.
Okay,
We kind of anticipated how is he growing and what size do we think he's going to fit into at the end of the winter.
gotcha.
That's the size that we got. And we did not spend a lot of time outside this winter, which we did to protect him a little bit because we had some frigid days. But
Yeah.
that was kind of how we got by. When we went outside, we bundled him up, and then when we got in the car, made sure that he was safely in, and then we had blanket and coat and whatnot over top, and then we had a car monitor so we could always see if he decided to pull something over his face and reach back and yank it down. So yeah, basically we bought ahead, right? We bought what we
Of course,
thought
yeah.
would fit him, 4 months. Because like you said, winters here can be long. We had snow before Halloween, and we had snow earlier this month in April.
Yeah,
You
Michigan's
know,
a crazy place. I know a lot of places have the same saying, but Michigan is one of the only places where truly it is, where it's if you don't like the weather in Michigan, wait 5 minutes. I mean, genuinely,
yeah, yeah,
it's crazy. And Michigan's a wonderful, beautiful place, but the weather can be just
weird.
weird, totally. So, anybody else in this situation, let's just say, me. So, I am prepared. We're at this point, and we're going to have a baby shower, eventually, and we're starting a registry, which we are going to be doing our registry on Amazon, and I'm actually going to put together a walkthrough for anybody. It's a super simple process, but in case anybody's curious as to how it all works, I'm just going to put together a small little walkthrough on just making an Amazon registry, and this document with all of the potential necessities of to have by the time the baby's here is also going to be a part of that. That way you can, look at those in tandem. But clothes is one of those things that I don't even think I want on the registry. I do, but I don't because maybe it's a limited item if I, make it so only one or two of these, that way nobody's just buying me a bunch of clothes because babies grow so fast. And if I get, a bunch of newborn clothes, because like you said about diapers, they're most likely going to buy newborn or ones. And that's a stage that lasts a month.
So I see where you're going with that, and it makes sense, right? Like I have all these clothes for a month worth of baby, right? Here's the thing, though, is baby clothes first. If people are gonna buy you clothes, let them. Yeah, no, honestly, because the clothes can get very expensive,
Fair enough.
and you don't know how many articles of clothing you will go through a day. Spit up, especially as newborns, happens all the time. Blowout diapers start to happen. They start to pee on things when you're changing them, and you don't want to keep them in those clothes, right?
Of
Or
course, yeah.
there might be days where you have to change them 4 or 5 times. And you start to do laundry every day. But after a while, that laundry stays in the washer, and you're like, oh shit, I forgot to start the laundry, or oh, it's still in the dryer. I don't want to. I don't want to go over there. But like you start to realize that you're going through these clothes because it's just spit up and poop and pee and food and all this stuff dried.
So
The
maybe
juice,
we'll need more clothes than I'm actually
you
anticipating in my
you
head.
need more clothes than days they'll be in it for sure. Because like I
Okay.
said, there are some days where you go through 5, and then the next day maybe it's only 2, but then the day after that you're going through 10. Right? It varies. And so having a lot of extra clothes is super useful. Also gets to the point where sometimes you're like, how much is that really bothering him? You start to relax a little bit, but it is
Yeah.
still nice, especially when they're young. They start spitting up on stuff. You don't want to necessarily leave it on them because, again, temperature regulation, they have none. That'll
Yeah.
cool them off if there's any coolness in the house. So just small stuff like that, and that's it varies per person, right? Some people aren't worried about it. Some people are. His first month or two, if he spat up on something, we changed him. But I'm not saying that you have to. It varies, and it's how you feel you want to do it. But that's what we did, right? So if it was dirty, we swapped it out.
I think that's one of those first kid, second kid things.
Yes.
First kid, do everything exactly clean and extreme and everything like that. And second kid, you're like, he's fine.
Meh.
That was me. I was the second kid. So
I was a third. I didn't think my parents cared. Okay.
Yeah, so they still don't even know you exist yet.
No. Well, they have a grandkid now, so now they do.
Yeah. Then they're like, "Oh, Dan, hey."
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
Okay, so
Yeah,
as far as clothes go, though, obviously onesies, clothes for warm weather, socks, hats, any type of fun clothes that you want your kid to wear. Obviously, everybody's gonna go down that road eventually.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you need these 100% in?
My favorite things are the sleepwear, like sleepers, the full body, just head to toe, right?
Yeah.
And then he wears those almost exclusively, onesies or however you want to call them, right?
Yeah.
But what they sleep in, right? So it's got long sleeves, long pants, zipper from the foot all the way up to his chin. I love them. They're my favorite things for him to wear because I'm not dealing with straps or like little buttons. I'm not dealing with pants and it's just one thing. Whoop, here you go. And then sleep sacks are awesome. I love those things.
Nice. So sleep sacks basically just like the Snuggies or whatever they are, where
Yeah,
it's
there's
just
no
like
feet to them. It's a bag with arm slots that you zip up
Gotcha.
to his chin. That's
Nice.
all it is. It's the step after the swaddle. Here's a sleep sack. There you go. So
Okay.
I love those things.
And do you have them in that a lot throughout the day? Do you
No, I mean, I'm pretty sure Liz takes him out of the sleep sack when he first wakes up.
Mhm.
But I guess it depends on where we're going in the house. So like I spend a lot of my time when I'm home down here where it's a little cooler. So on Sunday mornings, the one morning I'm at home, when I wake up and he wakes up, I go get him. I bring him down here. It's a little cooler. I leave him in the sleep sack, at least for the first hour or two, right? Maybe until the next feed, right? So I wake him up. I say wake him up. He's awake. I get him up, change his diaper. I feed him. I bring him down here, still in the sleep sack. Maybe by the time I feed him again, I'll take it out because it doesn't have legs and I want to put him on a high chair so he can't wear it anyway. I'll take it out then, put him down, start feeding him the solids. Yeah, it's just my process, right? So anytime that I put him down for a nap, I like to put him in the sleep sack, but it's not always possible because I don't want to wake him up. So if he happens to fall asleep before I can get him in there, I'm not going to put him in there. So
Gotcha. And as far as preparing for the baby, if people you said want to buy me clothes,
just have him do it.
Yeah, I mean for sure, any type of help that anybody's going to offer you, just take it. That was one of the pieces of advice that my brother gave me is in the first 6 months, people are going to be offering you help left and right, and you're not going to want to let them because it's the first 6 months and you want to be a part of your kid's life every single day for every single moment and be there. But then after the first 6 months, people are going to stop offering help as often. So
and you're going to want it.
And you're going to and you're going to want that help. So my brother's advice, take that. People offer you help, take it as often as you can.
And like I was just saying, right? I'm only home one day a week, and if on that day Grandma wants Felix, a lot of those days I'm like, yeah, I need sleep.
Yeah, that's right. I need to get in my own sleep sack.
I need to relax a little bit. Liz and I need to go on a date.
Yeah.
And I hate giving Felix up, even for just a couple hours. I hate it, but sometimes it's nice, right? Because you get to just relax, and there's this sense of I'm not responsible right now. Like I said, just the 2 hours, it's just this sense in your brain of like, I can shut off a little bit.
Yeah.
You can't do, when you're at work or when you're being a parent. So
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we got two more categories on this list, and those are bath time, and then we're going to finish it off with on the go, the things that you need while you are out and about. But for bath time, as you were saying earlier in this, for bath time, there's not a lot of standing water because drowning concerns. What encompasses your bath time? What things do you have for bath time? And what do you think somebody preparing to have a newborn should
sure.
have the moment the baby's born?
Yeah, so early on, not a requirement, but it could help. There's little tubs that you can get that you put in the tub. And basically what it is, it gives them it gives your kid a little seat that they can sit up on. And then you can fill water in the tub up to a certain point. And there's a little drain on the bottom of these little baby tub. That way you can fill the water up. So their butt's in the water, but you can control, they can't go anywhere because I think there's even a strap in there if you wanted to like really hold them in. But it's a seat so that that way they're upright and gives you access to be able to wash them and they're not laying down because early on, right, they can't do anything other than lay down.
Yeah.
I mean, the first couple baths you give are literally just wipe downs. You don't even give them baths. You have to wait a little. I don't remember when actual baths start, but early on, yeah, you just literally wipe them down and call it good.
Have you done any sink baths?
I have not. No.
No? There's a picture of me in my grandmother's bathtub, and there's a picture of all of her grandkids and most of her great grandkids in her sink because that was the thing at grandma's house that you bathe in the sink. And thinking about it back then, it's cute, it's great, it's wonderful, it's cool. Thinking about it now, I'm like, how much bad food stuffs and greasy, gross stuff I've put in my sink? I mean, even if I
Right.
scrub that thing, I don't think I would want to put my baby in it.
Right.
It just doesn't seem sanitary to me. Even if I spray it down with rubbing alcohol, I just feel as though,
It just feels gross.
yeah, I just don't think I'll end up putting my baby in my sink. But that's just me. But anyway,
Yeah.
so what
Oh
else?
yeah. So yeah, you get the little tub. We upgraded him into the main tub a while back once he could kind of sit himself up because then you just kind of hold him, make sure he didn't fall onto the walls.
Yeah, and
Um,
if he falls
that
over, you just sit him right back up. Yeah.
right now, the issue that I have with bath time is baby is slippery, and so you're trying, so you're trying to move the baby around, wash his butt, wash his legs, wash his whatever, and rinse him off, and he's slick, right? So you got to be careful.
So
But
what type of washcloth, sponges,
yeah, so we use
things do you
washcloth.
use? Okay.
We use a washcloth, and I just use my hands. Honestly, I'll make sure that I got clean hands and all that stuff, and I'll just lather my hands up a lot of times, and just that way I can scrub down his legs, right, and scrub down the chest and back. You can do it with a washcloth too; it's more effective. But yeah, I like the washcloth because it's easy to rinse and then refill with soap.
Right.
But yeah, and then you use a cup to rinse because you try not to get their face too wet. Yeah, you use a little cup of water to rinse their head and then rinse them down rather than just shoving them under the water. Um,
just, just hold them under the
what I do. So I'll
just
turn him around.
waterboarding your baby.
Yep.
Just
So I'll turn him around and rinse his butt that way. I'll just turn him around and shove his butt in the water, rinse his
perfect.
legs and his butt. Just there you go.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, it's just being careful, making sure that they're not into the water and they're not falling over and hitting their head on anything. They are slick, so you got to be prepared. Here's the thing: back to the baby temperature regulation. One thing early baths is you have two washcloths. One that you continually warm up with warm water, put back on their chest. So you basically warm it up, put it on their chest, and then you wash them with the other one, and then take that washcloth off, warm it back up, put it on their chest, because they're not constantly in this hot water. They're getting wet and then sitting in cold air, getting wet, sitting in
Mm,
cold air. So you put a hot washcloth, or not hot, a warm washcloth on them to
yeah.
help keep them warm. Make sure the bathroom is relatively warm. Have a towel ready for after the bath, so that way you can basically pull them out of the bath, lay them on this towel, dry them, or pat dry them pretty quick,
Hmm.
and then get like a robe or something that you can put around them, and then just hold them because snuggling your baby is awesome. Keep them warm, get them dry, get them changed and ready to
Yeah.
go. Don't leave them able to get cold for very long.
Really, for bath time, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
There's not really much to it. But capping off this list of categories for things that it is good to have is on the go. So on the go entailing, your car seats, strollers, baby carriers, diaper bags, and all sorts of different things like that. You mentioned that you didn't really leave a whole lot with the baby in the first couple months. Was there anything that you didn't realize you needed until you started to get on the go and then you're like, oh my gosh, we need to get this?
early on, I don't remember if we had sunshade, but we got that very quickly.
So you mean the sunshades that go against the windows?
Yeah, because you don't realize how much sunlight's coming in from the back of the car, and baby's gonna be rear facing. So
Even if
I
you
think
have tinted windows in your back
it,
seat, they're still.
it's still get something to block. Yeah. I don't think we had it day one, but I'm pretty sure we had it day two, kind of thing. That was huge. Always have the diaper bag, right?
So
Uh,
diaper bag.
diaper bag.
Run me down a typical inventory for your diaper bag. Obviously,
So
diapers, wipes. What else? What are we working with?
yeah, so the diaper bag that we have actually has a compartment on the side that holds wipes. So you literally just like there's a Velcro flap that opens up, wipes are right there.
Amazing.
Right. And then if you need to replace it, you got a zipper that you actually open it up to replace the actual like full pouch.
Hmm.
So that's super useful. But regular use of where we're at now, at least, you got as many diapers that you think that you would need at max, and then a few because you never know. Change of clothes, a couple change of clothes, I should say. Use different socks, shirt, pants. It's where the sleeper comes in handy because you just have the one head to toe thing. You throw two of those in there and you're good to go. Burp rags, bottles. Depending on where you're at as food, you have bottles and formula, or you have some solid things, whether it be little packets or the little containers, however you're going through solids.
So stopping you right there real quick. With breastfeeding, obviously, you just breastfeed on the go. What if, you're taking the baby out and the
Mhm.
baby's at the breast milk stage and you're not on
Yeah.
formula? How do you transport the breast milk? Is it just you put it in bottles before you go and then you warm it up on the go? How do you do that?
Yeah. Early on, we were pretty joined at the hip, right? So if we went out, she was there for that reason, right? We didn't have a good way to heat breast milk up if we were on the go. But like I said, if you brought a thermometer that you could test the water temp, or if you're just good at gauging the temperature on your wrist, you could go to a bathroom, heat it up in a sink, right?
Right.
That is always an option. And the diaper bag has a cooler section. So so you got the wipes on the one side, and the other side pocket is insulated. So you could throw a little ice pack if you needed to, throw two bottles with, formulate them, close it up. One thing you'll learn, especially when they're young and not eating a ton, you can fill up one bottle with, I think the biggest bottle we have can fit 12 ounces.
Hmm.
So you'd fill that one up with 12 ounces, and then you have an empty one. Fill that up with 2 ounces, feed the baby. 2 hours later, fill that up with 2 ounces, feed the baby. That way you only need two bottles, but you have six feedings. But yeah, so you got, depending on what kind of food you're feeding at the time, you have your formula and bottles, or breast milk and bottles, and or a way to heat it. If there is one portably, probably, I don't know. And then, yeah, a couple change of clothes, as many diapers as you think you might need, plus a few pacifiers, bibs, any diaper changing essentials like your butt cream, diaper cream, maybe a toy or two, a teether if they're at that stage. There's a thing that you can attach pacifiers to. It's like a little cord that you can clip to them. Lifesaver, always have one on you. Yeah, I think that's a go diaper bag there.
Nice. And as I said before, my wife and I just got a stroller, but the stroller, it is a 3-in-1 stroller. So
Yeah.
it comes with the car seat insert that you strap
Mhm.
down.
Yeah.
And then the stroller itself is a click to pull the infant seat out, put it right in the car. So it doubles as a baby carrier
Yeah.
and a stroller. And that's awesome. It's really helpful, really useful, especially if you're kind of hurting for space and you don't want to have an infant carrier and a stroller. It's
So helpful.
it's nice to have that duality, but it also has a toddler seat. So it'll last 4 or 5 years, which is great. It's fantastic. It's wonderful. The one thing about it that I think might become an issue though is that because it's so versatile, it doesn't excel at any one thing really
Sure.
well. It does all of it good and more than good enough. I'm in Canada and all car seats and things have to have the Canadian national mark of safety for babies, and I'm assuming it's the same thing in the United States, some seal of safety that all car seats have to have, so it meets all of the proper safety ratings. But one thing that I've noticed, a lot of infant seats or infant strollers that you can buy, they have things to hold the baby's head in place.
Yeah.
This doesn't. So something that we got alongside this is like, little neck pillows, like travel
Sure.
neck pillows. And we got this little pad that goes in the back that has two rolls of cloth that go around where the baby's head will be. And it's adjustable for size. And so when you're getting a stroller, when you're getting a car seat, it's important to think about these things in the sense that babies grow fast. As Dan was saying, Felix is 9.5 months and already as big as a 1-year-old. So try to get something that is going to fit you for a little while, because strollers are expensive. And think about, what do you need when your baby's a newborn? Your rain covers for your stroller, because I'm in Vancouver, where it rains every day. It rained today, it rained yesterday, it's going to rain tomorrow. It rains all the time. It's not usually a heavy rain, but it's enough. So,
Right.
get a
Still
rain
rain.
cover. Be aware of where you're at. If you want to go off road, not off road, but if you if you like to go in walks in parks or go for hikes, make sure your stroller has bigger wheels, maybe even rubber wheels. If you're never on dirt and you're always just on the sidewalk, then maybe that's not a big deal for you. If you're in a place where it's super warm, make sure you get a stroller or get a thing for your stroller or your infant carrier that covers the whole thing, as opposed to just a little bit of it, because as Dan was saying earlier, babies have no temperature regulation, and you can only apply sunscreen to babies after a certain age. So, you got to make sure that you're taking care of all of those things. These are things that I did not even know I needed to think about until I started looking into strollers and infant carriers. And I was like, oh my gosh, there is just so much to think about. It's absolutely outrageous. But these are things we got to think about. So, don't feel overwhelmed. Just try to prepare for these things as early as possible. We still have until August. So we're trying out a few different strollers, putting them together and trying to figure it out. But everything that we've gone over on this list, which once again, I'll have a link to the list in the description below, but it's here not as a 100% hard facts. These are exactly what you need, but it's more so of a guide to help you to think about things that maybe you didn't think about before. Maybe there's definitely a lot of things that Dan mentioned that I didn't even know about. I added wipe warmers to this list because I didn't even know that was a thing that existed. And the clothes thing, I was thinking in the sense of diapers. I don't want to buy too many clothes because the baby's going to grow out them so quick. But then Dan makes this great point that, well, you might go through 5 changes of clothes in a day, because of spit up or whatever it is. So it's, once again, things I didn't think about. So don't take these as the gospel, but use these experiences that Dan has had and use this list to help guide you towards being as prepared as you possibly can be as far as items go for your newborn. Dan, what else do you have to add?
Things change every day, right? So everything on this list, isn't necessarily needed day one. Everything on this list isn't necessarily needed, but not everything is going to be a day one thing, and new things pop up every day. So we didn't need to worry about formula for the first couple of months because we did breastfeeding, right? But some people might not even bother breastfeeding, so they need to start straight with formula. There's different types of formula. There's different brands of formula. So you got to figure out that there's different types of bottles, different types of nipples for each of those bottles. There's different pacifiers. There's different types of pacifiers, different sizes of pacifiers. There's different nipple sizes for the bottles that they age up into. And there's so many things that are involved that you kind of learn as you go. And so early on, Ryan mentioned that there's 70 some odd items on here, and we added 1 or 2 as we spoke here. Seems like a lot. It's not. Certain things you're already looking at, right? If you're here, there's a good chance that you're planning or expecting or have a kid. You already have a lot of this. You already have a crib and a mattress, right? You already kind of know what's going on there as far as like sizing and how that's supposed to be. Or, do you want or have a baby bouncer, right? Or do you use this particular brand of formula and this type of that formula, or so these things. But if you're starting out, you're expecting, right, you're a couple months away, this might seem like a lot, but though there's chaos, all of this ends up making sense. And you're like, oh yeah, of course I have burp rags, right? I have a stack of 30 of them over here. You start to realize that you have them, and then you see something that happens, you go, oh well, we need this now, and then you're just going to realize, yeah, I just need to go get that. That's just a new part of our life. And you're going to think like, we have a bottle warmer that we use for a month or 2 or whatever it was, and now it sits idle up there, right? So I don't need it anymore. It's not a necessity, but it was nice to have when we had it. So you learn a lot as you go, and things are changing every day. And what worked for me might not work for Ryan, might not work for somebody listening here, but and some people might know better ways to do things than I did, right? So it's different for everyone, and don't be too stressed about this list. about being like, I have to get everything on it. As you get closer, you'll start to realize what you've already picked up and what you may or may not need right away. And if you don't have something when you need it, 9 times out of 10, it's probably not that big of a deal. So don't stress about it. Do what you can. You're doing all right. You're doing a good job.
Yeah, seriously. And nobody has a kid and is perfectly prepared right out of the gate. You know, it's just never going to happen. It's not something you can prepare for, as we've said in all of our episodes so far. And we're going to probably say it in every episode after this. But it's like Dan said, you realize you don't have something, just go get it. 45 minutes isn't gonna hurt anybody, you know.
You'll be stressed about it. Let
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
You're
you
gonna
will
be
be.
stressed. And you're it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And in the moment, okay, but you're gonna look back. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I don't buy as many clothes as I need, and then the baby goes through all of the clothes that we have in a singular day, and so I have to run to the store while Dinara is covered in spit up or poop or whatever else, you know, and the baby's just sitting there flailing around, da da da, you know, whatever.
Having a great time.
And so I'm sprinting or speeding to the store to get the 3 or 5 pack of some onesies or sleepers or something, you know, to offset those numbers and help out. But it's fine. I'm looking forward to those adventures because, like Dan said, in the moment you're like, you know, freaking out, what's going on? I'm a bad dad, whatever. But then afterwards, it's just funny. You know, it's just life. It's just parenting. So don't freak out. Like Dan said, you're doing great. We're all doing great. It seems like a lot, and it seems like, where am I going to find the space? But baby things are small, so except for the stroller. All
They
of
get
them.
everywhere, but you'll be all right.
Yeah. So I know it's all going to be great and it's all going to be wonderful. And I'm excited to have those oh crap moments where I realize I don't have something and I need to speed to the store and grab it or whatever else. I'm looking forward to that because it's all part of the adventure. So, whatever your situation, use this list as a guide, use this episode as just a guide. You know, obviously, some things are necessary, you know, like clothes, diapers. Some of them are necessary, sure, but the rest of them, just use it as a guide, and your own parenting experience will unfold just how it's meant to, just like mine's going to, just like Dan's continues to. But it's all just a wonderful adventure. But that brings us to the last segment, which, of course, as always, is Dan's weekly recommendation. So, of all of the things we discussed today, Dan, of all of the things that you kind of said, oh, this was a lifesaver, you know, this helped a lot, this is great, get rid of these. What is one that really stands out to you?
Well, for baby's comfort, what we use is a 3-in-1 diaper cream. It's Aqua 4. Again, like previously stated in the previous episode, not sponsored. I just love the product. We have it. That's the bottles that we have. 2 here, 2 in that room, a couple in his room, or a couple in his bedroom, 1 in the to-go bag, right? It's the Aqua 4 3-in-1 diaper cream. Thing helps Felix all the time, right? If he's rashed up from the diaper, stuff seems to temper the irritation very well. So we use it all the time. We've been using it from the beginning. We still use it now. We hear recommendations about it from our pediatrician and from people that we know. And I'm here to tell you, it's a wonderful product.
It's the real deal.
It's a real deal.
Aquaphor 3-in-1 diaper cream. Okay, awesome. Definitely adding that to my list right now. Thank you, Dan. And I hope all of you out there look at this list and just use it as a guide and don't feel overwhelmed and do your best to just, you know, do right by your kid. That's all you got to do. That's all you really got to do is just try to get things that'll be right for your kid. Every kid's different. So that wraps up our episode today on
baby preparation.
Yeah, which seems to never end, but you know, here we are.
Yeah.
But as always, thank you guys so much for tuning in this week for this episode of First Time Fathers. It's always a blast, Dan. Thank you for all of your insight. As always, I'm going to continue to grill you every single week on Fridays at 9 a.m. Pacific and noon Eastern. Thank you guys so much. Please be sure to follow us on whatever platform you are listening to this, and we will see you next week. Dan, what words of wisdom do you have to send us off today?
Be patient. There will always be patient. Thanks for stopping in, and we'll see you next week.